Well, guys, thank y'all for jumping on here today. And like I said, we're going to share just some ideas and thoughts about where we're at with a digital church and some things churches can do or be thinking about, whether that's actual online platforms or even just practical thoughts or just even kind of changing your mindset of church. And so, because time's limited, we're just going to jump in. And I think the first question that I think a lot of churches have been scrambling this week to ask is, how can we live stream? Do we need to live stream? What kind of things do we need to get in place so we can have church on Sunday? And so, how have y'all answered some of those questions?
Let's go first.
So our church, we we had a live stream set up already. So we kind of were able to do that. We've been doing that for a little while now. But it really, again, it's like everybody's online only now, which is kind of a crazy thing to jump into. I know you guys have seen that a lot as well. Do churches have to live stream? Probably not. I've seen a lot of people, pre-record stuff, which I like that because then you can kind of flush out any like technical glitches and stuff that you get as well. But live stream is, again, if you have the capabilities, I would say go for it.
Can I ask, just so people know, can we share who we are, what church we're from?
Yeah.
I'm Brody. I am the media director at Calvary Assembly in Decatur, Alabama.
I'm Devin. I'm at Evangel Church in Montgomery. Also do a lot of the media and actually campus pastor for our second campus.
Awesome. I'm David Russell. I'm digital director and online campus pastor at Church of the Highlands in Birmingham.
And I'm Michael Harris, U.S. missionary media and technology, working to help churches here to get this figured out. All right. So, Brody, you said that if you think live stream is good.
I do, yeah.
Recording's not bad. Anyone else have a thought on that?
I'm curious to know what David's thinking. I'm sure he's been working on this.
Yeah, man, it's been really wild, to say the least. Brody, you mentioned it. It's really surreal that we're where we are right now. But I think it's unfortunate that we have to kind of walk through this as a nation and as a world, really, and that we're dealing with the face of this thing. But the church is already shining in some really great ways. And so, for any pastor who's watching this, I want you to think about opportunity. And this may be the best ministry opportunity we've ever seen, maybe in the last decade or 20 years or 30 years, maybe since World War II, who knows? And so the short answer to that first question is absolutely, you should be online and find ways to engage. Look, the church is not a building, it's people. And the internet is just a medium. It only serves ministry. Ministry is still the goal, and technology serves the goals of ministry. Technology is now a centerpiece. It's certainly now something we're relying way heavily on, but the technology is not the point. It absolutely doesn't matter. It could be a text message or a video call like this, or a service stream, a Sunday live stream of your services. The expression of it, the technology use of it, can really look like anything. The way you're doing it is if you're connecting with people. And so if you're able to your volunteer teams are able to serve others, your small groups are able to meet, and you're able to connect and help people worship together in some corporate way. It's going to look different, and that's okay. It's going to feel different, and that's okay too. If people are involved, though, you're winning, and you are the church if you're doing that. And if this is right now the only way now, effectively, we can do it. So we have to take advantage of that. I think it's an absolute yes.
Absolutely. There's a quote that's been kind of following me, stuck with me all week from a pastor friend of mine in England. And he says, if not meeting as the church prevents us from being the church, then we were never the church to begin with. We were just a meeting.
Wow.
So there's all kinds of ways that we're not the church anymore. However, what he just said is the big conversation we've been having as pastors. Our number one job that we decided is communication. Mm-hmm. How can we communicate with people in our church? And obviously that's hitting the internet big, and we're trying to, navigate these waters, but we're also, we're a church of probably 400 people. So we have a pastor staff that we can call every single family in that church. And we said once a week, we just sent out a list. We're connecting with every person in our church. And we told our life group leaders, our ministry leaders, we're, pushing this down, empowering them once a week, connect with every single person. And you're all the way down to children's leaders. Mm-hmm. Call those kids are going to love to get a phone call or a Skype call from their Sunday school leader. So So it just communication. We'll even doing it from letters, making sure our elderly that don't have internet, they're going to get a letter. We've had people, every single day our pastor goes online for 5 minutes, update. We've had people literally holding the phone to the computer so our elderly can hear what our pastor is saying. So it's communicate, make sure that they feel a part of and in the loop of everything going on. On the live stream question, we're actually using both. We have some live parts and some pre-recorded parts. But we had we already had the way to do live stream, but we kind of got excited at some of the ways that some of the pre-recorded stuff opens up new opportunities that we wouldn't have in a service on Sunday morning. And I'm sure you guys as well, thinking outside the box of how can we use the internet as the internet. It's not a Sunday meeting, so why treat it as one?
Right. And I think that is where we're going to spend some time here the next little bit, because I think at the end of the day, if you can live stream is good, but live streaming shouldn't be the only thing you're doing. There are so many options there, and it's not just a question about Sunday morning, but how can we be the church the rest of the week? And I think we've already hit on some things that I want to come back to. But let's talk about traditional church that we've known it up until this past week and what it's going to look like in the coming weeks. You kind of hit on it, Devin, about getting your church involved. And I think we should talk about some ideas or drill down on what you said. If y'all have some ideas that y'all have seen, how to get the church involved in the stream, whether that's sharing, that's commenting, that's using the phone, that's using Zoom. So what are some things that y'all have seen that you can get the whole church involved in connecting with your people?
I've seen, sorry. Yeah, I've seen Devin, I know you do like watch parties and like Facebook and everything. I mean, the people that you can bring in with you, I think it's a great way to invite people. Just again, getting people that wouldn't normally, go to a church. They're not at church. They're on Facebook, but we're bringing the church to them, which I think is such an amazing thing that we can do right now. And getting people people that would normally be at a service. Now they can say, hey, I'm inviting you to join me to watch this video. And I think what we do a lot of times is we're sharing that hope with people, and anybody's looking for hope at this point.
Mm-hmm.
David?
To me, I've met a lot of pastors over the years who personally don't like Facebook because they're not on it themselves. But I'm telling you, to every pastor watching this, your church needs a presence on Facebook. You also need a presence on Instagram. You also need a presence on maybe some other social networks. But Facebook is the juggernaut. I mean, Facebook is where people are. And that even as our church buildings still stand on the corners of streets in our communities, and we have a physical presence there, you need a digital presence today, and you can't afford not to. And so even if you personally don't like Facebook, find somebody in your church who can operate a Facebook presence for you and connect with people there. Do the same thing on Instagram. I would just really echo, what Brody said. There's a ton of different ways you can do this. What it looks like can make the most sense for your church, for sure. But you absolutely you don't need to become a technology master. You really don't. But you need to understand the power of technology and the opportunity that we have. And as long as you understand that, God's already provided people in your church who can do this. And in fact, one of the things that to me is just amazing about this is some of the best volunteers that we have in our church are actually people who sit behind a keyboard and either serve at church online or work on our social media team, commenting and connecting with people. There's a personality type. It's typically an introverted personality type that introverted, and then maybe they're not as good maybe in some social situations. And so like face to face, they're not your small group leader, because they just maybe have a hard time doing that, but they come alive behind the keyboard. And they're some of the best people, if you will, social people we have in the church. But this expression is something that just lets them, opens up something inside of them, and they can serve in a way they've never thought of before. And some of the same people who might be in that sort of, I don't know if they're technical or whatever it is, kind of personality type, will really come alive in this. And they've been there the whole time. And so I think that's another thing you need to consider is, Devin already said it, it's about empowering the people. Our job as pastors is to equip the saints for the work of ministry. It's not to do ministry, it's to actually equip the saints. So we're resourcing And so pastors have to pivot now to understanding that we can't resource for a season, hopefully a short season, by the way, prayerfully a very short season, but we can't resource people anymore in a physical building, in person, hosting services, small groups, even small groups. It's getting to the point now where we're encouraging small groups to also meet online because of the risk, and because it's not a faith matter. It's a fear matter, I should say. We do have faith that God's going to help us overcome this, but also smart. Let's be smart about it and use the wisdom God's given us in the right ways. And so even as small groups go online, the pastor's job is to resource the leaders in your church, the saints of the church, to do the work of ministry in Sunday school environments, in small group environments, on social media, right? And so as long as you're positioned to do that and empower them, the way to do that right now is empower them with technology. You don't have to be a master, right, but you do have to understand the power of it, and you have to dive in, and you kind of have to go on into the deep end now, because that's what we've been asked to do. And if you're on this call, that's what you're doing. So I applaud you, Pastor, for even being on here and engaging in this discussion, because these are the kinds of discussions you're going to need to be a part of, maybe once or twice a week, with people on your team who can help you help you engage well in online ministry.
Yeah, I was terrified at the beginning of this week, and the more that we've had these conversations, the more excited I've been at, because really a lot of the things that probably all of your churches have been experiencing of, we need to do this, we need to do that, and haven't gotten around to it. It's forcing our hand. It's making us do connect with people in the 21st century the way we've been putting off. And if there is a silver lining to this whole mess, I'd argue that's part of it. And absolutely what David said, we keep on coming back to the conversations, pastors, as whoa. It's not our job to do ministry. It's our job to equip the people to do ministry. Why are we saying I'm going to take care of this when we have people, who are under our leadership, who we know would love to do this or that or the other thing? So that's a constant question of, am I doing something that does not need to be or can be on someone else's plate? And there's probably a lot of people in our church that can do some of these things way better than we can. So equip. Some of the I'm excited about some of the ways that we're doing this. I mentioned a minute ago, our pastor comes online. This is just the way we're doing it. But at noon every day, we've told our whole church he's going to be Facebook Live for 5 to 10 minutes. And during that time, he shares just a brief scripture. He tries to add some kind of, he'll have a joke or something planned. You want it to be personable, and he'll tell a story about something someone has done in the church to serve someone in their neighborhood or serve someone else at the church. And by sharing these stories, what he's saying is, now we want you to do the same. And, through the phone calls, we've told our small group leaders and everyone we're talking about, hey, we want you to go out there and be ministry, but we need you to tell us when you do it, because we want the church to know, we want to broadcast that how we're being the church and begin to paint this picture of being the church. We're also, every evening, our children's leader comes on for 5 minutes to share a little devotion for kids. Well, yesterday she issued a challenge, like a video or picture scavenger hunt, go around your house, try to take a picture of all these things. And she says, when you're done, we want you to send the pictures to us, and we're going to share them Sunday morning on our live stream. So now the kids are going to be excited to watch the Sunday morning live stream. And then on Sunday morning, the church is going to see how we're being the church to our kids during the week. So they're feeding back in to one another of showing, listen, it's exciting, the stuff that we can do with some of this media.
And that's something that I wanted the next step there, you already led into it, Devin, is using outside of Sunday morning. What are some of the things that we can do? Like you talked about how your kids' pastor's doing it, but making room for other ministries. And also, you don't have to just be Sunday morning doing the stream. With free time now, people are looking for things to do. You can do things during the week, whether that's a Bible study from the pastor's desk. Doesn't have to be on the church. I've seen a church even put a couch on the stage, and that's how they're doing it right now from the stage. It doesn't have to be your typical Sunday morning. And also, I know we heard from Devin, but the other guys, how are you seeing other ministries outside your main adult service, like kids or youth, using this technology and reaching their groups? Buddy, you want to take a shot?
Yeah. So Yeah, I've seen like our youth group right now. We're using again like TikTok. I know TikTok's something that's kind of a little bit newer. A lot of churches are like, should we do this? Should we not? But again, I look at where are the people that you're trying to reach? Where are they at? And I know TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram is where a lot of the younger people are at. So our youth group is really trying to hit that right now. And then kids, our kids pastors are actually in Birmingham right now for a surgery, so they're out right now. But we've got tons of great resources from other churches that that's what I love about this time is all these other churches are coming together and providing like free resources for people that again, our children pastor is out right now, so we don't have somebody to do that, but we can use other people's resources that they're giving us to kind of step in that gap for us, and that's really amazing right now as well.
Yeah, big time. I mean, there are a lot of churches that have produced a lot of content, and it's generic. It doesn't have a brand or anything associated with it. So there's no if you're concerned about messaging or where do we get this from or some other church being mentioned, Life Church, Shell Church out of Edmond, Oklahoma, have a huge resource sharing website. We use their stuff. I mean, we use a lot of their stuff for kids curriculums, and there's a ton of great resources out there that are kind of centrally created and by all kinds of fellowships, denominations, churches, all kinds of stuff. So go out there and find those resources. Again, if you're resourcing your church well, then you're gonna have to be resourceful. So go be resourceful, find those things. We are resourceful, constantly vigilant, looking for ways we can leverage content, and then. The students, I would say the student generation maybe has the least change, in all this because they're digital natives. And, they already are on social networks that are kind of common to them. And a lot of times, as Brody mentioned, those are different maybe than Facebook or Instagram or whatever else, but they're still gathering, they're still grouping, they're still, on there already. And so certainly for student pastors in particular, man, you've got to be on those platforms, where your students are, and encouraging them there. iMessage is huge. I mean, just text messaging. Do not underestimate the power of a simple text message. My son's 12 and in the student group here at Highlands, and our student leader at the campus that my family's a part of he does an incredible job, just touching base, just reaching out, just making those connections. And because of our son's age, he's not yet really into some of the social networking side. We've kind of put a little bit of a limit there, obviously boundary for obvious reasons. And yet that student pastor understands that dynamic and understands, but he's got a phone and he can text message, and so just that's a real fluid thing that student pastors have to navigate. But don't limit your student pastor from that. Like let those connections happen and trust those things. And obviously in all the right, safe and accountable ways. But man, it's the opportunity is rich there, and students have been there all along. So for them, yes, we're not meeting in person for a hopefully short season. But as far as the use of technology goes, I mean, these students, these kids growing up these days don't know anything different, and so they're some of the key people you probably need to be talking about how to engage, your church community in those things. So through the week, massive amount of opportunity. There's as much opportunity Monday through Saturday as there is on Sunday.
Right.
Even think about giving. Okay. Online giving has completely changed giving in churches. It's not just giving on Sunday. I mean, my wife and I, we like to give on the first of the month because that happens to be when we're paid. And that it falls occasionally on a Sunday, but typically it's a day of the week, and that's when we're giving. And so even that engagement for people can happen. So if you don't have a digital expression in giving, most churches do today. If you don't, it's something you really need to consider, because that's also certainly a form of worship and certainly a form of engagement. But simple things like that, just think about how even that happens throughout the week. So community and other forms of engagement should also happen through the week. And there's tons of opportunity Monday through Saturday to again, I hate the situation. Nobody wants to be in this situation, right? We all wish this wasn't happening.
Right.
And at the same time, clearly God's putting opportunities in our path. And you can't sit back. You can't just wait and then hope everybody shows back up to your church in 3 or 6 weeks or 9 weeks, or what if it's 12 weeks? Not to be the alarmist, but what if it is? You have to maintain ministry continuity, and that has to be the focus. And again, it's not even, who cares about operations? And even at the end of the day, who cares about like giving? Like for the worship side, yes, very important. But we need to be thinking about the people. You have to remind yourself of your calling in ministry. Why do we do what we do? Because God called us to reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ. And some of you might have to just sit back, push your chair back from your desk for a minute, and remind yourself of your calling, and remind yourself of why God asked you to reach people for Him. And right now, the only way we really have to reach people that's it's safe for now is online. So I think you have to embrace it. I don't think there's an option. So not to get too preachy on it, but I think it's something worth mentioning.
Amen.